So, the best part about renovating a childhood home is you had all that time to cultivate how you wanted the house to be. Now, you might want to remove that wall, or, you just didn't like the color of it. So, let's take a look at what these guys did to renovate their childhood home. All right, it's a bit of, ooh, all right. It was a bit of a mess, but as you can see, they cleaned it up. Especially right here, when we're turning the corner, you can tell that flooring's coming up and they're exposing all that hard wood, I do believe, because yeah, that looks like it's old hardwood. Now we're gonna go into the kitchen. Okay, clearly they went ahead and redid all the cabinets from the picture that we saw. So, I mean, this stuff looks really good from what I had seen in the transformation. Okay. So as you can see, it has the hardwood on the floor and they went with a butcher board countertop, and it kind of just makes it work, especially with that earthy tone on the cabinets themselves. I'm kind of curious if they kept the cabinets but changed the faces of them, because that's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm not too sure though. It's kind of hard to catch in this video. Let's see. Let's pop over here, back here. Okay. Yeah, it looks like the setup is the same, so I would assume that they kept the cabinets. But I mean, overall, they did a fantastic job. The greens brought out the wood, and they went with the earthy tones and everything, so it looks great. Okay. You know, black appliances go with the black handles, so you can't really knock them for that there. And I love how over here you can see the butcher board goes with the wood, and it kind of just adds to it. Just little things. Okay, you know. Now we're moving into their living room. Ooh, okay, it was a bit of a mess, childhood home, all memories sitting up on the wall. So, all right, they turned it around. They kept everything. They painted it and really did modernize the cabinets. As you can see, the cabinets had a kind of a bevel here from just the way things were built back in the day. It had more, you know, curves to it and everything. And I think they went ahead and took care of that. So, no, never mind. They painted it. They didn't modernize it, but I mean, that's that type of stuff that does add character. So I understand. I would have went ahead and trimmed it a little and made it flat, but to each their own. It looks good. They does seem like this got the same treatment as the kitchen and got new faces on the actual cabinet doors. So oh oh. All right, Windows just clean. All right, here we go. Okay, that's what it was. It was showing what was there, and as you can see, just family stuff. You've got your couch and kind of windows and whatnot, and then they got it all taken out and went ahead and repainted the whole thing. That's what it looks like. I mean, it looks good. It's living living rooms are really basic, so it's like it doesn't take much. A coat of paint, some light fixture changes, and you could kind of change the vibe in that room. And as you can see in these pictures, it was kind of they changed the color from beige to gray, and it kind of did it. So let's get back to that. Okay, so those floors are in rough shape. Let's take a look at that again. I mean, look at that right there. That is crazy. So these floors have clearly been kind of seen better days, and you can see it's kind of going here, it's going upstairs. Yeah, need refinished at minimum. I mean, I'm sure they got to it, but Okay, that's back to that living room area with the chimney in there. Okay, nice open space. They redid the hardwood. Cool. Kind of another angle. Over here. Okay. So now this is the finished product. So as you can see, they went with runners down the stairs, which is good because if we remember here, it seemed like the staircase there was the worst of it, and worst of the damage. Anyways, but yeah, as you can see, when we came over here, we've got runners covering that, and then they refinished the stairs themselves. So yeah, good use of kind of materials to cover up damage that may have occurred. Okay. As you can see, there was a rug here. It has a different shade on the floor than it does elsewhere. Here probably a rug, but over there you can see it's a little darker. But yeah, I mean they turned it around. They got rid of the border paint as well. I'm assuming that's paint, but it's too big to be wallpaper, so I'm assuming it was painted on. But they did get rid of that in that other picture that you can see here. So as you can see, kind of clean cut. They kept the original door, I do believe, because flat doors aren't in anymore. They still make them, but they're not in. But you can easily paint it and kind of make it work. So I think that's what they did. Yeah, that's what they did. As you can see, right there is the same door. You know, amazing what a fresh coat of paint could do. You know, but it does look good. Like you could see, we're walking in here, kind of taking care of all the flowers and everything that's sitting around. My mother's this way, so I can resonate with this guy, flowers and whatnot. So yeah, cool. They ended up refinishing it. I do believe they added some trim about halfway through. Let's take a look. No, it looks like there might have been some sort of trim there, but it almost looks like it's two different colors. So it might be some sort of wainscoting on there. I can't tell without better quality, but this is as good as it's going to get. So cool. They went ahead and did that, kept that trim there, modernized it with some paint and refinished the floors. Easy enough. I think they kept the same light fixture, you know, old school, and boom, old school. So we're good. They were able to reuse that, which is always good. They were able to salvage the floor, but it looks like right here, it unfortunately, no go. It happens. I've seen that a million times. You saved it the best you could. Good job. All right. So now let's go ahead and get into some of the other stuff we're going to be looking at. So now I'm going to show you guys some bedrooms, and I want to show you guys what can be done on a budget, because bedrooms are some of the easiest rooms to transform, and it also makes the biggest difference because you are living in those bedrooms every day. So let's get into it and take a look. All right, so here we go. Here's the before shot of the bedroom. As you can see, they tried some green paint there. You got your tools out, getting ready to work. I got you. Cut the carpet back a little. They're probably going to change out the carpet. So yeah, cool. No problem. Just prep work. All right. Okay, cool. So what they did is they took out the carpet, put some hardwood in there. It looks like laminate, but did some wainscoting on the walls. Yeah, it looks fantastic. It took it from just an ordinary bedroom to like a high-end computer room, or I mean, you can use it as a bedroom, but wainscoting really always takes things to another level. They upgraded the fan, looks great. All right. Now we've got a bathroom. Now, as you can see in this bathroom, you got this going on. it, it's I've seen it where okay, the toilet's off to one side and you kind of have a wall separating that, and so you can brush your teeth and somebody else can use the bathroom in a master suite anyways. But it seems like the door is right here, and we still have like this awkward doorway. on that leads to the toilet and tub. It doesn't seem like there's a door there. You know, we can't see a door in the reflection. We can't see a door anywhere here. Just, odd stylistic choices, I guess, But yeah, that would be the first thing I would do, is remove that, because that's not necessary at all. So, all right, let's take a look at what they did. Boom. Okay, so they did remove the wall, and they kind of went with a Tuscan look. I mean, it's classic. This stuff is timeless. You can't really go wrong. Yeah, I love the lights that they did now, because the old lights that they had, I mean, these are really cheap. I mean, it's probably what the house came with, but this was really cheap, and they really added a lot of flair with these lights coming in, and the shower, it's cool. You got a nice skylight. The skylight was always there. So, if anybody was wondering, that was always there. Changed it to, you got glass shower doors instead of a curtain. Always a plus, brought in a nice rustic floor. Cool. Looks great. All right. Now let's get into another bedroom. So this is the before of the bedroom. As you can see, this fan's kind of blurry. I'm assuming it was on. And then they tried to do different shades of green. So I'm assuming they're going with green, and that would go with the headboard and wood look that's going on. So it would make sense. You wouldn't have to change the fans or anything to kind of make that work. So let's take a look at what that looks like after. Okay, cool. Simple touches. Bedrooms, living rooms are the easiest. And, you got to go with earthy tones just to make it work, especially with wood, so it works. It looks like this blind has seen better days. I don't know if it's supposed to open from the top. That's a first for me, but, overall solid, it works. I'm sure the doggo or cat loves it, And then there's another part to this bedroom. So let's flip the camera around and take a look real quick. All right. So over here we've got the wall, and they tried some more shades of gray, and gray over here, I guess, and green. I mean, very interesting, cool. All right, let's take a look at what they did, because they're clearly going with green. Now, let's take a look. Okay, so they went with an accent wall. That's pretty awesome, because, when you enter a bedroom and you just see all green, there's no breakup. And what I mean by breakup is, like, when there's a wall like this, it catches your eye, so it breaks up the monotony of just green everywhere. So that really helps. I mean, you walk into a bedroom and you see that, you're probably looking at it. So it'll definitely add to the bedroom for sure. All right. So that was this week's, Reno review. We went over a couple places, a childhood home to people's bedrooms and bathrooms. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content, and catch you guys in the next one.